Good evening, everyone. This evening, we're going to talk about Ghana's infrastructure. There's a lot to unpack here when it comes to their infrastructure, believe it or not. And so I know that the year of return in 2019 has been a very pivotal point in Ghana marketing and advertising that Ghana, one of the most premier countries for melanated people, to essentially come back to your roots, come back to the point where you was traded and sold into slavery. At least 3 to 5% of us documented supposedly was. Now, if you look on the likes of Name Calloway, he debunks that in many of his videos, but nonetheless, I won't get into controversy on that nature. But let's just take, for instance, this is true. So they had the year of return in 2019, calling back a lot of Black Americans to their homeland, whether it be Ghana, Nigeria, the West African region where a lot of Black Americans supposedly have come from. Now, when we're speaking about the infrastructure, because I wonder, the same Black Americans who have been doing videos, who've been showing Ghana in the most positive light, and then again, I'll always say this in the videos to start off, that the Ghanaian people are very beautiful, very, very meek, very humble, very good people from what I can tell. Other than the salesmen who are somewhat pushy, which I understand, you get the same thing in Mexico. I understand, but the people are absolutely wonderful. I have no ill will to say about them. The only thing they showed towards me and my family was love. But family, the question is, would I live in Ghana according to its infrastructure? Absolutely not. Now, I won't get on the mosquitoes because, I did a little quick clip about those damn mosquitoes. But when it comes to something as simple as the roads in Ghana, there's no way that I could essentially drive any of my vehicles in Ghana. I don't care if it was a bucket. I don't care if it was a Jeep, so to speak. Majority of the country does have paved roads, believe it or not. Now, in some of the major cities, in the major city, Accra, there's one side of town that is totally built up. And guess who lives on that side of the town? Our well-off Ghanaians, which are very few, but Lebanese, Chinese, Indian, Americans, and a couple of other people like Germans and Italians. They are the majority that live in the most built-up areas that's close to the president's house, the House of Jubilee, or Jubilee House, rather. Now, when you look at the infrastructure, of course, one of the main things that people want to look at are the roads. How do people drive? Do they obey the laws? Now, the same way when I went to Dominican Republic, the driving habits in the Dominican Republic was the same as in Ghana. Absolutely horrifying to drive. Now, granted, you could get your way around, and I'm pretty sure you will get accustomed and learn the behavior of how people navigate, but I damn near was closing my eyes every drive. Real talk. I was closing my eyes. It was the intersections were totally unmanaged, and sometimes during rush hour, they had policemen there to stand because they really wasn't directing anything half the time. But this is the infrastructure. Now, Grant, I'm pretty sure someone's done this before. Let's show this real quickly. Where you're sitting on the side of the road on the opposite side, and this is the car I'm in, and this is my driver. But this is how Ghanaians get down. Let me make sure you guys see this. This is how Ghanaians get down, family. We're on the other side of the road. Good evening, Jermaine Anderson, Big Dog. Now, we actually even witnessed a young boy get hit, right? We saw the aftermath of it. He was injured. We don't know the extent of his injuries. But this is some, one of the so-called shanty towns that's a built up shantytown, aka ghetto, that's not really built up. And this is how it looks throughout the entire country, right? This is how it looks throughout the entire country. See, I don't know what I was imagining, because I was, looking at all these videos and everybody was ranting and raving about Ghana and how the city was, glorious and the people were terrific, which was true, but not the infrastructure of the country. I'm pretty sure Ghana was well built up than Nigeria when it comes to roads and streetlights. That Ghana does have a lot more than Nigeria. But let me show you something. You saw this intermittently throughout the town. This is a built up part of Ghana where you see Holiday Inn there. Now you see, look at the traffic here, family. Wait till I go to the intersection here. There's really no stop sign, no yield sign, and people just getting in. There's motorcycles going down the middle. And hey, they do this in Thailand too. Okay. They do this in Thailand as well. So a lot of countries around the world drive just like this. Again, you go over there with your American eyes, it will drive you absolutely bonkers. Okay. So if you're going to visit Ghana, don't let these feel-good videos fool you of what really is. Okay. Outside of Accra, majority of the cities and towns are in shambles. The houses are made up of sheet metal, but granted, also, and I can't leave this out, also, as you're driving along through the different cities and towns of Ghana, there are a lot of built up homes with walls around them that are absolutely empty. You will see more empty buildings that are built up with like no windows, no walls, but are cemented up with no living being in it. And then when you ask people, why do you have all these empty buildings with no one in them? They would tell you that people started to build their homes and ran out of money. See, also with the infrastructure of Ghana, you just can't go and get a loan from the bank. Like a lot of you're in your home, you're in your condo. You want to go get a loan from the bank. No, you have to come with cash in hand. So a lot of them may get a good sum of money to start the project, and it takes sometimes anywhere from 2 to 10 years to finish their homes because, again, they're paying in cash. So they have to save up that money. Just the same way they do a lot of their cars, they're paying in cash. And if your banking system is not operating on the Western world standard, then you are literally living in sheet metal homes and shanty towns the entire time while you're trying to get your home built. And believe me, I am not exaggerating, family, when I tell you I saw hundreds, if not thousands, of homes and buildings that were that got started but never was finished throughout the entire city. And I'm seeing people homeless laying on the streets where they have a structure that it can actually, live inside. It has no windows, no doors. But they said, no, they can't go in there because people would then kick them out. But like the project isn't done, but the people will own the land and the unfinished buildings that's on the land. So a lot of things that you see on the internet, they're not really telling you the true story about the infrastructure. They're just showing you like these great parts. But no, I want to give people the good and the bad because I want you to really, if you decided to go to Africa, you decided to go to Ghana, to really know. So oh, well, I didn't know all of this. Let me move on. So I think I just showed this video here. Let me move on. Let me show you this, family. See, this is a really good part of Accra that we went to. It looks really built up, really organized. And this is what people will mostly show you. This is kind of like downtown by the airport, I believe. So there's a lot, this coming from the airport. There's a lot of Ghanaians. And of course, the beauty of melanated people everywhere was a treat for us. We saw melanated people all on billboard signs. That was just totally a treat for us. We have never witnessed that except when we went to Jamaica. So this was you'll see coming off the plane. But the reality is, family, is that a lot of the roads are unfinished. And the sewers in Ghana are not, most of them are not covered. Now, they are covered by the president's house. They are covered by in these well built up areas what foreigners are living at. As I stated before, the Lebanese, the Chinese, the Indians, the Germans, the Americans. Those areas, sewer drains are covered, but throughout the city, these sewer drains are not covered. You understand what I'm saying? So let me make sure I get the sound in here, family. Let me make sure I get the sound because I'm talking to the driver here. A really nice guy. His name was Eric. He took me and my family around for quite some time. For majority of the time that we were there, Eric took us around. So we really had a good time with Eric, nonetheless. But let me show you this really quick, family. Let me get this back up because we was having discussions while we were there. Let's see here. There we go. This is a quick video clip, and this is coming from our hotel. Now, our hotel had a road from, we stayed in the Best Western Plus Beach Hotel in Accra. But some of the major roads were not paved. And the driver was telling us it was like this for years.
Fix anything.
They take all the money to Europe. When they steal the money, take it to Europe.
All spend there and live better there.
Yeah, all their people, all their family, they are all in Europe. As of now, there's no politician in Ghana. His family is in Ghana.
He is telling me, he's telling us that the politicians, of course, and I told you last time, family, there was 3 types of rich people in Ghana for the majority. 1, non-Ghanaians, foreigners, who have coming in and put their foot up Ghana's ass, taking essentially, I won't say taken, okay, because we understand that the government is ran by Ghanaians, so they have their hands in the pockets of the government officials. And what he was saying is because the corruption is so high, of course, the government, I like that Tariq Nasheed one. But anyway, but it's actually a true video, and it's funny at the same time. So it has a dual dynamic of the truth that is actually telling us. But he was saying how the government officials of Ghana don't live in Ghana. They actually live in Europe, and they fly back and forth during certain times to have meetings and conferences and events of such. And that's what he was actually saying in the car. Like, they don't live here. He said, look at the roads. He was upset the entire time because now he has a chance to speak to people that live outside of his country. And he's breaking it down to us. Now, granted, people will tell you there's a lot of opportunities in Ghana. There's a lot of land in Ghana. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. But we've been asked. I asked my wife. My wife asked me, would you live here? We said no, because we went there with our American eyes because we are Americans. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, America has the best infrastructure in the world as far as large as a country that America is, bar none. You're not going to find better. I mean, our worst areas like Louisiana, Baton Rouge, some areas in there where there's a lot of abandoned ghettos are still better than some of the middle-class areas that he was telling us as we were driving around the city. I'll let you see a little bit more here. Let me play a little bit more.
They are fools because their family didn't even come and vote for their family. They are outside. When it's a voting time, they know something going to happen. Their family all go outside the corner. They go outside, and we vote for them, and later on, we don't get nothing.
No, we do the same thing. It's just we happen to live in a country where they do fix it up. But yeah, we do the same thing. Vote and get nothing.
And if you notice, family, you're seeing people walking through the street. I mean, on the side of the road. It was total chaotic for me. Okay, but again, the people are nice people.
Their money, because people are, you see, we are poor. So the little money they give it to us, we are even forgotten our we are forgetting what is. We are forgotten.
And if you're noticing, this is in a town, okay? This is in a town. If you're looking at this picture, family, to the right and left, there are no sidewalks. So people are just walking in the street, motorbikes going up and down. And then if they do walk on the side of the road, they're walking in dirt and they're walking near the sewer, where the sewer is totally open. And guess what? There's trash everywhere. And at first, with my American eyes, guess what I was asking myself? I'm like, why are these people living around all this trash? Why would they throw trash all around? That's because another part of the infrastructure, family, I did not see one garbage truck come up and pick up trash anywhere. And then the trash points, from what I could believe, are everywhere. They're absolutely everywhere. Okay. So I guess if you don't have a system, and that's what people don't understand about America. A lot of our systems are not perfect, but they work well. Listen, our systems are not perfect, but they work well. Not there. They don't even have the systems, right? And this is some of the when I looked at the global, when I looked at the African index of built up countries in Africa, I think Ghana was like number 7. Okay. But of course, the countries that had most of white looking people had better infrastructures. Okay. Outside of Rwanda, because Rwanda is supposed to be really nice as well, which we're trying to go next year or maybe later this year, but most likely next year. I'm gonna play some more of this video because I think it's eye-opening that when you guys go and you're looking at all of these videos that people are making and they're dancing with, you know, the Aboriginal people of Ghana in the tribes out in the bush, and they're having a great time, you know, enjoying the culture, eating food. Yes, that's all a great thing. We did some of those things as well, but this is, you wanted to move to Ghana. This is something to consider. That's all I'm saying.
What has happened? They give you something, they give you food, oh, we are forgotten, and they vote for them again.
And this is how it looked majority around the city. Broken down cars, trash on the side of the road, kids, people are walking side of the road, and then there's this dust.
He really wants to know. We should just drop you off and come back next year, James.
There's this dust that constantly sweeps through Ghana, and people are literally washing their cars every day. And some people are blaming the Chinese from mining everywhere. I necessarily don't know. But from what you're seeing, this small clip, this is only a small clip. I didn't video record too much because it weighed on my wife and I, right? And I think a lot of times, speaking from our first world position, and just doing kind of like just doing research on African countries. Oh, they got shanty towns and ghettos and people are poor. But until you see it, it's a different experience.
Oh, he tall. Look at him.
He is.
This area, they are all fishermen.
Fishermen?
Yeah, they are all fishermen.
They're washing cars on the side of the road right there.
They go fishing.
People just walking across the street, down the street, in the street. And the drop-offs on the side of the road, their family, there's trash everywhere on the left and right side of the road. Yeah. So the infrastructure when it comes to roads is absolutely horrific. Driving habits, according to, of course, my American standard, is absolutely horrific. But they do have like Ghanaian driver license and, you know, all the official documents that we have here. But as far as the infrastructure when it comes to roads, no, it's a no for me, dog. It's a no for me. And when we think about other things, when according to infrastructure like a railroad, guess who's building the railroad? The Chinese. The Chinese is building the railroad. See, we're going to get into the resources here in a bit, but I have to highlight that even these roads you saw a lot of construction being built. And I was like, oh, I see improvement. There's a lot of construction. He's like, they've been trying to build it for 5 years. And I was like, what do you mean try? He said, well, they started and they just stopped. And they come and do a little bit and come and do a little bit. And 5 years to build a road? The Chinese has built the majority of the Ghanaian infrastructure, right? Now, of course, back in 1960, the president, Kwame Nkrumah, he had some really good relations with China, but let's keep it real. There's a different regime in China right now, and they're controlling Ghana and other African countries economically. And they do this by paying off some of the Ghanaian parliament, some of the Ghanaian officials, right? And this is not me talking. I am directly saying what the citizens of Ghana has told me. And I'm not going to say any names, but nonetheless, this is the information I got from them, because everywhere I went, I asked people questions. And just like people like Tariq Nasheed, Phil Scott, and all these other who's been over there and visit different African countries, they have been absolutely right. They blame everything on the government, but there's a lot of truth to that as well. Okay. So when we talk about railroads, the Chinese are building that. Now they are using Ghanaian workers, but for all the manual labor, all the technical, using big machinery, they're using Chinese. All the skilled work, they're using their own countrymen. See, when we was walking our last day, we were looking for things to buy for family members, souvenirs, etc. We saw 2 Chinese teenagers, females, walking down the street, and we were bombarded by all of these Ghanaian salesmen selling us belts and lint rollers and statues and copper bracelets, etc. And I say, hey man, why don't you go sell it to them? Oh, no. They won't buy. What do you mean they won't buy? Well, some of the stuff we have, they made. I say, what do you mean? Isn't this authentic Ghanaian products? He was like, some of it is, but China has replicated everything. This is the truth, family. I'm telling you from the horse's mouth. When we talk about the water supply, they do have a water supply. You know, like in my hotel, we had no problem with water, but you cannot drink the water. And my wife pointed out something very significant. When we were taking showers, the water was somewhat slimy or greasy, somewhat, very, very little, but we can tell the difference in viscosity of the water thickness, right? And of course, they said, don't drink the water. And my question is, what were Ghanaians drinking prior to modern technology, modern infrastructure, modern day, the modern world? What was they drinking? If they wasn't drinking the natural, I'm pretty sure that the natural resource water wasn't as contaminated as now, because the Chinese are mining all over the country. Because the China like, hey, we'll build our road for you. We'll build that road. We'll build it for this amount. And guess what they go ahead and do? The Chinese will go ahead and dig. Not dig to level the road and pave the road. They're mining right there as they're digging the road, looking for gold. We talk about the sewers. The sewers are absolutely backed up with an enormous amount of trash and feces, rat infested. That's because in majority of the country, the sewers are not covered like in America. Either our sewers are covered by the road, and we have those sewer caps, right? And then we have runoffs. No, their sidewalks are sometimes this cement that's on top of the sewer with these large gaps inside of them. And then most of the time, that wasn't even there. You can look right inside the sewer, which is very, very shallow, with all sorts of things in it. I can't even name all the trash that was in the sewer that was totally backed up. And people were just walking across, walking around, and in flip-flops, in slippers. And I was just like, there's no way I'm wearing slippers out here, right? So again, this is the infrastructure of Ghana. One of the premier countries that everybody has been going to ranting and raving about. Now, and again, I don't want people to get this video confused with me talking about the Ghanaian people. No, the Ghanaian people are wonderful, very nice people. But when it comes to their infrastructure, in my American eyes, is in shambles, except for where the foreigners live that has coming over there and they've built pretty much everything. China has built pretty much everything in Ghana using very little Ghanaian workers. The trucks they have in there are Ghanaian or Korean. I'm just telling you how it is, family. I'm not inflating this at all. Then the electrical grids. So here we are at the Best Western Plus Beach Accra Hotel, and we're having rolling blackouts. No rhyme or reason why the electrical grid is having rolling blackouts. Now, last year here in Texas, we had rolling blackouts because we had like an inch. Oh, I'm sorry, not an inch, maybe about 4 or 5 inches of snow, right? And they never weatherized our electrical grids. But in Ghana, it stayed around 90 degrees. It went anywhere from 84 to 90 degrees. No strong wind, no rain, no thunderstorms, tornadoes, tsunamis, none of that. And just having rolling blackouts. But you go to the other side of town, I'm pretty sure they had electricity. And when it comes to telecommunication, phone service, and Wi-Fi, let me tell you about this Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi in our hotel and other places was absolutely horrendous. Okay? We brought our Fire Stick over there with us, so during some downtime we can watch television. We had to wait to 10 o'clock at night to watch anything because you couldn't even download a JPEG picture on that Wi-Fi. That Wi-Fi was slow. I'm talking about a snail with 3 shells. That's how slow that Wi-Fi was. It was worse than dial-up. Dial-up, I would have prayed for dial-up. Then at night, it pretty much worked okay. Now, thank God, my family and I, we had T-Mobile where we bought the international pass where we could actually call and we had data. But then again, there wasn't towers in certain areas, so we really couldn't get any signal. Yada, 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 you know the rest. I'm just giving you the lowdown, family. And there was something I really wanted to show you guys because this was intriguing. Does anyone know the official language of Ghana? Does anyone know that? So if you didn't know, the official language of Ghana supposedly is English. And that's mainly because the British colonized Ghana. Now, I don't understand why this is still the official language after Ghanaians' independence. Or is this just the Western world stating that it's the official language? But majority of the people, from what I can tell, especially in majority of the regions in Ghana, speak Tree. Okay. Most likely, I'm gonna say it in a very English way, tree. But you roll the R and you take out a E, tree, right? And it was an ongoing joke with my wife and I and some other people. She would say twee, you're right. It was just a joke. But here they had that the official language is English. Okay, this is another sign of colonization. I just wanted to point that out. Okay. But yeah, but when it comes to certain systems that we have, like another part of the infrastructure is transportation, right? We could not identify what a cab was. Now they had these little small vehicles with all these different colors on them, which seemed like cabs. Some cabs were marked, some cabs were unmarked. I don't know if some of them were Uber, but we're like, okay, where's the bus system? And he's like, oh, that's a bus. I was like, well, how you know? He said a lot of people on it. I said, so that's how you look at your bus system. There's a lot of people on it. He said, well, no, you see how he's chasing the bus. I said, well, so where's the bus stop? He's like, no, they just certain points they do stop. I said, but is there a sign or somewhere like if I'm a foreigner, can I be at a bus stop? Now, granted, on the side of Accra, where the government and the president's house and foreigners live, they had bus stops. But for the majority of the city, there were no bus stops. At least I didn't see them. I saw onesies and twosies, but not a real system. Like, what are the buses? The buses were minivans. So again, if somebody would ask me, should I go to Ghana? I was like, yes, please go. Don't take my word for it. Enjoy the experience. The food was delicious. The people are nice, but don't expect to have American. Do not expect to have the American experience when it comes to infrastructure. Right? Again, most of the roads were paved, but there was a lot of roads unpaved and unfinished. And granted, if a lot of, and I tell you this with a grain of salt, that a lot of the roads were paved, but the potholes in the road are worse than my home city, DC. These were not potholes. These were craters where people, if we're driving down the road on the right-hand side, there's these large potholes that he has to drive on the left-hand side while a car is still coming. I can't reenact some of the things I saw, family. I definitely could not record everything because I'm not trying to slander or beat down Ghana. Again, the people are great there, but the infrastructure, I'm good. I'm tight on that. I'm good. So when people ask me, would I move there? Absolutely not. Then another question you may ask is, would you visit again? You know what? I think I would visit again, but it'd probably be a couple of years to see if some of them roads were finished that the guy said took 5 years and they still not finished. But let's move on. I want to get to the resources of Ghana and how everybody essentially has their hand in the pockets of the Ghanaians by way of the government, believe it or not. And I know the government. I know. And I'm trying to get myself acquainted here. Give me 1 second here. Because there's a lot of things that has been occurring in Ghana for quite some time. And all of the natural resources that Ghana have. Now, I did a video titled "The Richest Continent with the Poorest People." Okay, that's for the entire continent of Africa. But granted, the lighter skinned, whiter skinned people are living in the best places over there. They're living their best life because they're coming over there with European and American dollars, where one of our dollars equals 6 of their dollars. And if you go over there with the British pound, 1 pound is worth 9 of their dollars. So you're living great. Okay, you're living like literally a king. You're not wanting for anything. So let's get on it here. Now, I just want to point out that these are the natural resources that are rich in Ghana. They're rich in gold, diamonds, magnesium, crude oil, silver, and salt. One of the things that they have not mentioned here is cocoa, because I know you guys seen where the president, I think his name is Nana Akufo-Addo. The president of Ghana is Nana Akufo-Addo, where he told Switzerland, we're going to stop selling you our raw cocoa, where you're going over there manufacturing and putting sweetener on that cocoa is from Ghana. So he stopped that relationship. Now, if you saw my video the other day, the tour guide from the Cape Coast was telling how if Great Britain was to give back the gold that they've stolen from Ghana, which they called the Gold Coast, that they will essentially have to sell every building, everything in Great Britain in order to repay in reparations. He also states that Great Britain has the largest gold reserve. He said, no. Great Britain has the largest gold reserve because they got it from us. And so when the Chinese trying to assist and support the Ghanaians, every time the Chinese goes over and try or essentially build things, they did for gold first. And that's why you see all these videos on the internet about how Chinese men are getting locked up because they are illegally under the mask of construction, under the mask of support, mining for gold. So let me tell you how this is broken down when it comes to the foreigners that essentially live in Ghana. The Chinese has built majority of the infrastructure. They have a lot of the businesses. They mine for gold all the time, and they have a couple of malls. The Lebanese, they own a lot of the businesses. They own some malls, restaurants, markets. They control a lot of the import and export, and they also mine for gold. Indians, East Indians, they have malls over there. A lot of their stores are named Milcom. They also deal in cocoa and timber because Ghana is rich in timber as well. The Italians, they build a lot of homes and apartment buildings. They deal in real estate. They deal in gold, export of apples. The Americans, we buy the gold. We buy the gold, essentially. The Germans, they have hotels over there. And then all of those foreigners that are there, the Ghanaians work under them. They work under them. When I tell you this, family, that the Ghanaians pretty much don't own anything. None of the malls are owned by Ghanaians. None of the malls. 95% of the restaurants are owned by foreigners. Most of the restaurants that we went to, really nice restaurants in Ghana, they were owned by the Lebanese. And then when we went to a Ghanaian restaurant, of course, the conditions of them were at a lower level than the foreigners' restaurants. And of course, this all leads back to the government. I said, well, why can't Ghanaians do this? And why can't Ghanaians do that? And I asked over 4 or 5 people, and all of them reverted back to the government. He said foreigners can come in and get cheap land and build businesses where the Ghanaian citizens are asking for support getting cheap land, and they absolutely won't get it because they don't have any special interest in giving the government money. I see April Witch in the room tonight. I'm going to read some of you guys' notes. Jermaine says they have billions in Africa who make their money in construction and infrastructure and can't get a road or a street light. Shaking my head. Now, again, I just want to kind of debunk that a little bit, Jermaine. Now, they have a lot of roads. They do have street lights, not everywhere. In some places, of course, in the built up places in Accra, they have street lights, but not everywhere, right? There was a lot of places that were dark. April says, thank you for bringing this to us. And then she also says, wowzers behind the scenes. Yeah. So again, I don't want to tear down the country because, again, I said the people were beautiful, but they have a systemic problem with foreigners who are there simply to rob the country of its resources. And the only source that most of these people will tell you, it reverts all back to the government. And so I had to ask the question. I said, well, if it reverts back to the government and you guys vote them in because you guys kind of work on a utilitarian system, right? You vote and this, that, and the other. He said, yeah. He said what they do is when people are running for office, they will come and give them 500 CDs. Okay, so do the math. For every American dollar is 6 of their CDs. So 500 CDs, right? So let me do the math very quickly. I'm not going to do it in my head. So if you got about $83. If I did the math right, I don't know. So about $100 that they're giving them just to have a vote. And when they get into office, they don't do anything for their townships. Now, chiefs still remain. They're chiefs, okay? They're chiefs. And chiefs are like aldermen or councilmen of that township. And the government makes sure that the chiefs are living well. Like we saw a chief's house It looked very, very nice. He had about 3 cars. But I said, so what are the Chiefs adorn? Because they walk around in their tribal garments, their tribal dress. And people like, they don't do nothing. They living great, so they don't care. The funny thing our driver said, he said when Obama came over there, he did not even stay a day. He said that he flew in that morning at 8 a.m. and flew out at 8 p.m. He said the Ghanaian people thought when Obama came over, he was going to help the country. He said Obama did, and I'm going to say the way he said it, Obama did nothing. He did nothing. That's how he said it. Obama did nothing. He said that George Bush and Jeb Bush, they did more for Ghana than a Barack Obama. He said this long road, he said all of this was dirt. And I forgot what Bush he said. I think he said Bush Jr. or Jeb Bush. He said that he paid for this road to get built. I said, well, how you get paid? He said, first and foremost, he didn't give the money to the government. He gave the money to a Ghanaian construction company that, of course, the Chinese were heading, but nonetheless, he gave it directly to them. He said, I want this road to be built. He didn't give it to the government because he said they will squander away the money. So I understand. So the question I asked was, why don't the Ghanaian citizens, just like Black Americans, get in the streets, protest, vote in true candidates that will, we haven't had any progress there, but, fight against the powers that be. He said, well, they will beat them. They will incarcerate them. They will lock them up. And he said, of course, these citizens who have, jobs, very few of them have jobs because unemployment in Ghana is very high. I think 40%, 41% of the country is unemployed. And a lot of them are walking through the streets selling things. I mean, you can find anything on the streets, family, anything, water, chips, clothes, you name it, you can find it. They're walking through the streets on the roads, selling absolutely everything. So when I look at these things, why don't you guys get together and stop the madness, so to speak? Why don't you guys do something about it? They just don't have that warrior spirit. Because the thing I thought about is, how can you have a warrior spirit when you're hungry? And I'm not trying to give them any excuse, because I said in any form of a revolution, people will die. No doubt about it. People will die. And I don't know, a lot of them are not willing to die to change the conditions. A lot of them feel handicapped. A lot of them feel paralyzed. And this is what I'm getting from them. Not me being biased. This is how it is. You guys have a great and wonderful evening. I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm out.